Thank you so much for expressing interest in wanting to join ZTA's Crown team. In this slideshow, we're just going to be going over ZTA's continuous open bidding process. Why does Sci participate in COB? It's to Crown, which stands for Continue Recruiting Outstanding Women Now. And the Crown process really reminds us to constantly seek collegiate women who represent our ZTA values and push us closer to Crown chapter total requirements. We're really trying to push Crown instead of COB this year, just because it really encapsulates all of our values a lot better than just calling it COB. What are the benefits to Crown recruitment? So, COB or Crown provides an authentic recruitment experience both for the PNMs, which stands for potential new members, to learn about Zeta, and for recruiters to learn about the PNMs. And the opportunities for events and dates are very flexible with schedules and allow for creativity, which makes the process a lot more fun and exciting for everyone involved. And Crown allows ZTA to meet girls who we may not have reached through primary recruitment. And more Zetas means more fun and more girls living our creed and representing our values. So there are two types of crown events. We also do have tabling events at the beginning of each quarter. If you have any questions about that, just let me know and I can answer them. But we'll just be going over dates and organized events today. So dates are a really great way to get to know one PNM more in a one-on-one setting, and they are more intimate and require planning of a date, time, and location by the recruiter. If you are going on a crown date with a PNM, try to let them choose where you go on the crown date, obviously within reason, making sure you're staying within our budget. And then organized events allow PNMs to meet many Zetas at once and see our sisterhood more collectively. And they are planned by the COB team leads, and it entails a specific activity. So in the past, we've done things like game nights, crafts, that sort of thing. So those are kind of more what our COB events look like. And now we're going to be going more into detail about COB dates. So I will have a spreadsheet of names of potential new members, and this will be updated constantly by me, Gabby, or Solene. And it's important that we reach out to these girls very quickly, professionally, and consistently. If it is your first date, you must be accompanied by another recruiter with experience. This is just to make sure you kind of can get into the flow of things a little bit better. Um, and then an example of a conversation that you would start with a PNM is texting them, "Hey PNM, this is Morgan with ZTA. Are you available for a date with us?" And then have like a specific time for them. Um, Try to always tailor it to like when the PNM is available. Obviously, you need to be free as well so you can go on the date, but this is very PNM focused and we want to make sure that their needs are being met. And then something like a follow-up response like, "Amazing, do you prefer coffee or boba?" Once again, just trying to allow the PNM to kind of choose a place within reason. And then when it comes to organized events, so organized events allow us to interact with PNMs in a lower stress environment, and the responsibility of getting to know the girls is shared amongst all Zetas who attend these events. Although we have less crown events than crown dates, they're no less important and their focus should be recruiting. So our goal is to interact with the girls whom you don't already know, find which, if any, values they embody, and share what our sisterhood means to you. And then do not bombard them too much. Like, try to have one or two Zetas talk to a PNM at a time. We really don't want to bombard them or overwhelm them at all. Zeta should naturally come and go between PNMs. And while you are free to chat with your friends and participate in the activity, work the room and understand that the PNMs are here to meet with us, and we need to be respectful of their time and actually approach them and talk to them. These are some do and don'ts of COB activities and dates. So make sure to introduce yourself and be professional, look nice, be awake and interested. Try to wear pin attire. It doesn't necessarily have to be like super formal. Just make sure it's like not sweatpants and a hoodie. Make sure you don't look like you just rolled out of bed. Make sure to always know the PNM's name. This gives her the sense that ZTA knows her and is interested in getting to know her. Ask her where she's from, what she did at home, did she go home for break? Just make sure the conversation is flowing well. Just typical, like, getting to know you questions. It doesn't have to be anything super intimidating. Try to not make it seem like an interview too much. You can also ask her how she's feeling about the COB process. This can help us gauge her interest and commitment level, and it's another way to connect. And make sure to note this in your feedback. If she doesn't seem super engaged with us, then that is something to note down. Um, you can also ask her about her interests, classes, hobbies. Just try to find a lot of common ground amongst you guys, just so it's easier to like match her up with people in the future and that you can just like see how interested she is. And then, yeah, what she does now, what she'd like to do if she had the time. Yeah, these questions should be pretty open-ended. We don't want them to be like yes or no questions. We really want the conversation to be flowing. It just makes it easier for you guys and the P&M. And then these are some don'ts of crown events and crown dates. So you never want to talk over the PNM or completely dominate the conversation. If there are two Zetas and one PNM, like if this is your first time going on a crown date, don't just have a conversation with the other Zeta. Keep the PNM involved. It can be really awkward if you and the other Zeta are just talking and the PNM isn't really engaged in the conversation. It's also just polite to like obviously make sure the P&M is feeling comfortable and like they belong in the conversation. And this is especially important at Crown events. So make sure that you're actually approaching the P&Ms because this is what we host the events for. Also, make sure to never mention taboo topics, the five B's, boys, booze, bank, Bible, and Biden. If the PNM brings any of these up, she knows she's not supposed to talk about them, but just list that in the feedback form. Um, Never complain about school, never complain about not having a house. We always want to make sure that us have not having a house, it's an asset to our chapter and it's flexible and it works for a lot of our girls. So we want to talk about that rather than complaining about not having a house. You can mention the live outs if they ask about them too. Also make sure to keep the conversation upbeat or she'll associate Zeta with complaining. We really want to be associated in a positive manner, so make sure to put our best foot forward with that. No mentioning other sororities on campus in good or bad ways. You don't know which chapter she's meeting up with, and you don't know who's recruiting her, so just try to keep that out of the conversation. You can mention Panhellenic events and connections with other chapters, but try to focus on Zeta. If the PNM mentions other chapters, also note that in the post-COB date Google form, and never ditch the PNM. This especially goes for crown dates. If you have to go to the bathroom, please go before or after the date. It's really awkward if you go like mid crown date and you leave them alone. You never want to do that. So just keep that in mind. And then these are just some things that you must know before meeting with the P&M. So know like the range of our dues. You don't have to know like an exact number, but it's about 450 a quarter split into two installments with new members paying slightly more for the first quarter due to like initiation fees and that sort of thing. Know why you like Zeta and be able to articulate that to a PNM. So you can mention sisterhoods, philanthropy events, meeting people, leadership growth. Those sort of things are all great, and we want to mention them because it's a really strong asset to our chapter, and the PNM would like to know that as well. Know that the time commitment is whatever you make of it. If they seem really concerned about joining a sorority because of the time commitment, you can mention that there's only one mandatory meeting a week, which is chapter, but we're looking for girls that want to be involved. We don't want to like have the impression that this is a low commitment sorority because we want our girls to be as active and as involved as possible. Know also that we have a lot of leadership positions, and then there are many opportunities to get involved in the chapter. You can talk about PC, EC, even being on the Crown team is really great. You can also talk about your leadership experience, and then have some events in mind that you really enjoyed and be able to like articulate that with the PNM and talk about why you really like our events, and you can kind of insert the PNM in that too. Like if you can recall like a past event, you can talk about that and then it gets the P&M more excited. And then when it comes to communication, me, Gabby, and Celine will communicate with the P&Ms and let everyone know when there are dates in the COB team group me. Um, I will add you once you watch this video and once you complete the little quiz after. But if a PNM has a question about finances, the COB process, then you can direct them to us. Brooke is also a great resource for finances. Um, and we will put that availability on the COB date sign up spreadsheet where people can sign up. Always make sure after a crown date or a crown event to fill out the post date Google form and the reimbursement form. Make sure that when you are going to these events and on these dates, focus on values. We do value-based recruitment, so just keep that in mind. And then make sure that the feedback and details of your conversation are really specific. I think the best time to fill out the post-date Google form is literally right after your date as you were going home because you can retain the most information from your conversation. And then things to note, engagement in the conversation. Did the P&M seem excited to meet up with us? Good questions that the P&M may ask you, that sort of thing. Those are all great to mention in the form. I'd like the form to be as detailed and as thorough as possible. And then once you fill out the Google form that same day, the recruitment team will follow up with a P&M. And if you don't fill out the Google form by the end of the day, I will be reaching out to you and asking you to fill it out as soon as you can. And then we're just going to skip the practice conversation because this is more of a group activity, but just some things to keep in mind. Be an active listener. Um, look for cues, look for like visual feedback, and then seem engaged with the P&M. I think that's one of the most important things. They're showing up for us, we're showing up for them. Like we're both meeting up with each other. Take mental notes as you talk. Make sure to tie in things that the P&M may have mentioned earlier to your conversation, that sort of thing. Try to find common ground or connection with another sister. We really want our conversations to be very sisterhood focused and tie that in. Okay, some final reminders. We have lowered the crown date budget this quarter to $12 per date. I know it's a little bit less than before, but this is both for budget and equity reasons. Make sure if you're getting coffee or boba that the P&M orders first so you can kind of gauge how much you want to spend on yourself. Um, if you go over, you'll have to pay that out of pocket, but those are just our policies that we have. Um, Also, as you are recruiting, never dirty rush or bid promise. You should never tell the PNM anything about bids. They already know that they shouldn't really be asking you for a bid, but on the off chance that they have questions, you can direct them to me, Gabby, or Solene. And then when you were saying goodbye to a PNM, say things like, "It was nice talking to you, have a great day." You never want to say anything like, "See you later," or "I hope to see you soon," because this can be seen as bid promising, which is not allowed. We could get in trouble for saying that, and you never want to get their hopes up if we're not going to give them a bid at the end of the day. And then just a final reminder to please fill out the forms as soon as you can. I will reach out to you the same night if you don't fill out the forms in a timely manner. Um, Try to do it before like 7 p.m. that day, just so I have the information and you can kind of recall everything as best as you can. To wrap things up, feel free to reach out to girls who have gone on crown dates before, or if you have any other questions about that, please reach out to the crown team. My phone number and Gabby and Solene's phone number are on the screen, so we're great resources if you have any questions. And it might seem like a lot to remember, but you'll feel a lot more comfortable once you start going on dates. And this is why we have you go on a date with a Zeta who has experience with COB. But if you still don't feel comfortable going on a solo date after your first double date, let us know and we can help you out with practicing conversations or any concerns you may have. And you got this. I really appreciate you guys for wanting to join and wanting to recruit. Yeah, thank you so much.